Jamie, good afternoon.
Hi.
Are you ready for 82-degree temperature and sun?
I'm ready for the sun. I got some this weekend. I didn't think I showed you, but I burnt the heck out of my shoulders. So this
Right.
week I'm wearing sunscreen.
It makes sense. This week and uh, yeah, good lesson learned.
Yep.
All right, kind of an exciting and very common topic, right? Supplements, and people do take a lot of supplements. I have taken them from time to time, so it's so important to talk about this topic and for your doctors to be aware. Folks, as you're joining, please type in your name, tell us where you are from. Just excited to have you here today. Um, the If you're watching it later on, we will still answer all your questions. So definitely write your questions in. Um, Jamie, I'll tell you one quick thing about a young patient who went to South America, came back. She had slightly high sugars, so she wanted to lower them. But now she got admitted with low sugar reactions. We couldn't figure it out until we finally figured it out. She was on some sort of tea from South America that has was known for reducing sugars and causing hypoglycemia.
Mhm.
So supplements are very common. It's a $1 billion industry, but on the other hand, people just need to be careful as they take these supplements because there's no free lunch. You got to have, if you have a benefit, there may be a side effect too.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And as a pharmacist, I talk with patients and answer questions about these a lot. So I definitely have a take when it comes to supplements. We've got some people here. I'm so excited to see you guys. Cassidy coming from Marshalltown. Welcome. Vicky, Randy, Tyler, welcome back. Casey, thanks for helping again. Um,
Excellent.
but I think it's 1 o'clock, so we can, as people trickle in, we can keep on introducing them. Otherwise, I think we can get started.
All right, supplements. Well, we'll talk about many of them. It's kind of cool to say cinnamon may be able to lower sugars by 25 milligrams per deciliter. That's a reasonably big effect. And again, we use the word may. We're not saying that it does, but some evidence there. So we'll talk about things like these today. Cinnamon, ginseng, aloe vera, do they? What is the evidence? So we'll be looking at these common supplements that can decrease blood sugars. We'll talk about the benefits and risk of these supplements, and then to kind of think about how to find which supplements may be right for you and how to talk to your provider about it. So let's get started. I'm Dr. B, endocrinologist, very interested in diabetes since '94. Just happy that you guys are here. And I have with me Jamie Bedlick, pharmacist, associate professor at Drake. And she's also very passionate about diabetes. So it's kind of a cool topic, and we're excited that you all are here.
Yeah, so very neat. As we get started today, just a reminder, we've got the Community Builder Award. So at the end of this session today, I actually get to announce who is the May Award winner. I always love the last session of the month. It's kind of a fun one to give away a prize. And as we get started, I do have a poll for you guys to do. I want to know, true or false, the FDA requires dietary supplements to be proven safe and effective. So does it need FDA approval to go and be purchased in the pharmacy or wherever for supplements? And as you guys are chiming in and talking about that, Dr. Bhargava, there was a question from the audience that I wanted to bring in right here. So the question is, I started taking vitamin C, vitamin D3, and zinc when we were exposed to COVID at Christmas. She's had much less burning on the bottom of her feet since then. Do these vitamins help with neuropathy, or was I deficient in something?
Great question. So, the event that happened, plus the number of things she took, C, D3, zinc, could it have an impact? Possibly. Vitamin D is one of the most controversial vitamins. It's a fat soluble one. You want to take it, but then with care, the amount you take. Vitamin C, water soluble. They could have benefits. There's no firm evidence that either of these three would improve neuropathy. So it could be like she could be deficient in something and got better, and that helped. But in general, it's not as if these things will make neuropathy better. But I'm glad she's feeling better.
Yeah, yeah. We do have the answers. The majority, just kind of looking over, are saying false. That the FDA does not require these to go through an approval process. And that's actually the right answer. So the FDA does not mandate that supplements have to be proven to be effective. They do have to have some sort of safety, and only if they have a certain symbol on it do they have to prove that what's in that bottle is on that bottle. And I'll show a picture of what that label looks like later. So you guys are right on. They do not need an approval process. They're treated like a food, which is very interesting. So we're going to play fact or fiction. And before I play fact or fiction with you guys, Dr. B, Vicky has a question. How much is too much vitamin D?
Great question. So, we used to think of vitamin D as all beneficial effects and no harmful effects. We learned over time that there are harmful effects also. So at this point, the recommended daily allowance could be 800 to 1500 units a day. So 5,000 will probably be too much for most people. Many have deficiency, like I do, and in my case, I take 5,000 about twice a week. So in general, 5,000 would be too much if everybody adopted that. 1,000, 1,500 is okay.
Awesome. Let me change my slide because we're going to get into fact or fiction. And the first thing that we're going to be talking about is ginseng. So we want to know from you guys, fact or fiction. You can just type it in. And if you don't know the answer, you have 50% chance of getting it right. Fact or fiction, does ginseng lower your blood sugar? Let's see.
All right.
You guys
So please type in what you think the answer is, and Jamie will kind of go through the rest of it.
Yeah, so ginseng, as you can see, it is a root, and it's a root that is used and possibly is helpful in diabetes. What they've shown in a few very, very, very small studies is it can decrease the rate or how fast sugar is absorbed from the GI system. And it can help your body use and your muscles use sugar a little bit better, a little bit easier. But they come with a lot of side effects. It can cause jitteriness, nervousness. It can increase your blood pressure because oftentimes these ginseng products come with caffeine in them as well. So we need to be careful with it. It usually takes about 200 milligrams up to 3 grams per day. So wide range on that dose in the studies. There are so few studies, though, that the evidence is very varied and wide that we actually think fiction. It is not a reliable enough source to lower your sugars. Fiction on the ginseng. So varied responses out there. Most of you got it right. You guys are saying fiction. So perfect.
Excellent.
Next one for you guys is going to be cinnamon. And so cinnamon, again, fact or fiction.
All right, please type it again. And in the meantime, I grew up with cinnamon in our cooking in India. So, of course, now when we were researching this, they told me there's 3 types of cinnamons based on where they originated: Cassia, Ceylon, and Saigon. And I said, wait a minute, there has to be one from India. I grew up doing all this. But of course, we use it in our food quite a bit. And now a good amount of research has been done. It may make your insulin work better. That's one of the possible mechanisms of action. The studies that have been done mostly with this cassia cinnamon, which comes from southern China. So when you look at the cinnamon, that's a brand, that's the origin you would want to look for. And when they did studies, they said if you took anywhere from 120 milligram to 6 gram in capsule form, you could reduce your sugar on an average about 25 milligrams per deciliter when they checked. So some evidence. Now, just know that cassia does have an anticoagulant, coumadin or coumarin. And so just if you are an anticoagulant, not something you should be on. With any supplements, I'm going to say let your doctor know. That's a critical piece of the conversation. Cinnamon, our bottom line is fact. It's possibly effective, but would have to take it in capsules. My way or my wife's way of putting it on food is not going to work as such.
Yep. And that was one of the questions that we had from the audience ahead of time, was just brewing it in coffee or sprinkling it on the food. Is that going to be helpful? If you think about it, 6 grams of cinnamon sprinkled on food would be a ton to sprinkle on. And so that's why that capsule form is important. And there is quite a bit of evidence for that. What about turmeric? I know we're going a little off topic, but that was the other one, Dr. B, that was submitted with this question.
So where I grew up, we called it turmeric, Jamie. So is it turmeric, turmeric? I don't know. I think it's turmeric. All right. What is it good for? So, we use it in our foods, and we have had the belief for the longest time that it reduces inflammation and helps with healing. So we typically use for high fevers and for wounds and so forth, some antiseptic effect as well. This is what the general belief is. For diabetes, no evidence that it helps in any way. But again, it's not something that's going to harm you. Again, in Indian cooking, we use it like few grams in our each of the servings, or not few grams, but quite a bit. So probably not beneficial for diabetes.
Okay, the next one for you guys is going to be aloe vera. And so we've got a picture of aloe vera. Fact or fiction? I've got to play around with my camera. Fact or fiction? Does aloe vera decrease your blood sugars? Type it in. Let us know what your thoughts. So just as a reminder, aloe vera, it's what I've been putting on my shoulders if you're with us. It helps with my sunburn that I have going on right now. But it's a desert plant. But what's interesting is it comes with a lot of soluble fiber. And that soluble fiber helps decrease absorption of sugars. And so it's actually been shown to potentially decrease sugars, fasting sugars, by about 30 to 45 milligrams per deciliter. So even more than what cinnamon is doing when you're taking it on a regular basis. Do be careful. With this, it's a capsule or a gel type capsule, but you can also get it in a juice form, and you would have to drink a whole glass of that juice to get that effect. It does come with the side effect of a laxative, so it can cause some upset stomach and some more diarrhea potentially. So do watch out for that as a side effect. And then, like I said, that preparation is very varied. So this one is actually going to be a fact. It has proven to decrease sugars.
Now, Jimmy, the interaction with digoxin, so many diabetics may have heart disease. Whenever our word of caution, when we are saying fact, we're still saying possibly effective. And we're not recommending its use. Any of this should be done in consultation with your diabetes treating doctor. Just keep that in mind. Our goal was to look at the evidence and bring it to you and say, no evidence or some possible effect. But remember, we're also not saying there are side effects, there are interactions. So just keep those in mind as well.
Okay, the next one for you guys. Let me bring up the picture.
All right, that's another thing I use. It's called fenugreek or methi. Methi, we use it in many of our cooking. The leaves and then the seeds also are used in some other really, really amazing. My wife makes this thing on some weekend mornings, a potato curry with a bunch of fenugreek in it. So the way it could work, it can reduce the absorption of glucose in the GI tract and also emptying of the stomach. So that may prevent the rise that happen with food. They did many studies and then they combined the studies. What the studies tend to suggest is that it may reduce the sugars about 20 milligrams per deciliter, and so forth. Again, similar interaction with the blood thinner, Coumadin. So keep that in mind. Side effects: GI discomfort, diarrhea, or gas problems. Bottom line: possibly effective, or more like a fact.
Okay. Another interesting one, and I used to use this one actually as well. And I actually was able to get it in powder form and I would sprinkle it on popcorn. So that's how I've used it in the past. It's kind of been interesting. And how much fenugreek? In that one, I actually don't have an answer. Dr. B didn't come up with an answer or give you a recommendation because it wasn't in the literature. The dose on that wasn't presented in the literature that we found. So unfortunately, we don't know how much it would take in order to make that.
And it's neither the leaves nor the seed, it's the extract. So something to just keep in mind. And we'll look into it and see, Dave, if we can get back to you.
Yeah. For the next one, fact or fiction, does apple cider vinegar decrease your blood sugars?
Fact or fiction, please type in. And Kathy has a question in the meantime. Kathy just joined. So, how often should one take cinnamon, and does it need to be taken on a regular basis? So, as we mentioned earlier, I mean, it's the capsules. Jamie, do you have a frequency?
I believe it's just the once a day.
Okay. Once a day, and then you would want to take it on a regular basis. If you make the decision, then I would tell you, once you've talked to your doctor, you want to start taking it, then take it regularly. So there are many patients of mine who would be on chromium or cinnamon, and these things, I don't discourage them, but then I say, okay, I'm aware, and then don't change it, keep it on. Okay.
Okay, I'm actually looking at this one, and we're kind of split down the middle. About
Ah,
half the audience is saying fact, the other half is
okay.
saying fiction. So this is a hot topic, I think. So I have come across this in some of the patients that I have seen in the past where they would take 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and they tell me that it would decrease their sugars and decrease their blood pressure. So when I looked at the evidence, what I saw is it could potentially decrease your sugars after you eat because it helps your body process the sugars better and utilize them. However, it's only been proven to be lower the sugars in patients without diabetes. It has never been shown to decrease sugars in those with diabetes. So there's again additional side effects besides the vinegar taste, but it can cause low potassium, and long-term uses could cause some osteoporosis, would be low bone mineral mass. So for us, bottom line for that one would be fiction. For patients with diabetes, it has never been proven to lower those sugars. And the last one, and I believe we have a great picture on this one, Dr. B, for you. This is your chromium, fact or
Yeah.
fiction?
All right, let's take that one. So it's one of those trace elements. I love the photograph. Just do I just pick up and start chewing it? Is that what you want me to do? No, that's we just wanted to put together a picture. So that's good. The way it might help is it may help insulin action at the level of the receptor. So insulin is a hormone, has to work on a receptor, and then the cells start taking glucose in. So that's how it might work. Some small trials have shown that it could help the patients with diabetes, especially those who may have chromium deficiency. Downsides, again, there's no free lunch with these supplements. So even where I'm saying possibly effective, be mindful of side effects and or interaction. So things like trouble thinking, trouble with motor function in too high a dose, weight gain, liver or kidney issues. Those are some of the things that have been noticed with chromium. So again, be mindful of those. Our conclusion based on research, possibly effective. Chromium, and I do have some patients taking it, and I don't discourage them from taking.
So as we're kind of moving forward, the next one that we have is called My Hung, fact or fiction. My Hung, also called ephedra. Does it decrease your blood sugars? We'll let you guys answer in. And as you answer in, just telling you a little bit more about ephedra. It's a stimulant herb that has been used in traditional Chinese medicine. As ephedra itself, it was actually banned in the United States probably in the 80s or 90s, but you can still find it in supplements as this My Hung. And so you can still find it in a lot of supplements marketed to lose weight. So it actually has been shown to increase blood sugars. And so it has a detrimental effect on our blood sugars. So we do want patients with diabetes not to use this one, because not only do you get the increased blood sugars, but you get dizziness, anxiety, restlessness, almost like a jitteriness. And the reason why it was banned in the US was for rapid heartbeats. And so it really caused some rapid heartbeats. So we want you to avoid this one. Next one, Dr. B, is one that I actually learned about from you through this process. Sugar down. Sugar
Yes.
down. Fact or fiction?
So that's a new thing. The name suggests it's fact, right? But you guys chime in. So it's something that actually it's a formulation of a complex sugar. I can't even say it, galactomannan formulation. And the idea is it will work on the absorption of the glucose in the intestinal tract and the metabolism of glucose in the intestinal tract. Limited side effects. We actually were part of this study. So they had a smaller study which showed that it may reduce the glucose, some 19 to 32% or so. Now, we did the larger study. We were one of the multi-center site, and the study came out positive. So Sugar Down is a supplement that is going to get FDA approved. It's already called the GRAS, like generally recognized as safe, but they're going to get it approved for use in reducing sugars, and the effect is most after meals. Post-meal sugars are very hard to control, so being able to do something like this is taken 3 times a day with meals and so forth. So conclusion, fact, and good news, this was the only research study Iowa Diabetes Research was part of with a pretty large study. Excellent.
Yeah, so we are saying fact on this one. Dr. B, I'm going to have you move to the bitter melon, if that's okay. I'm just watching the time.
Sure. Okay.
So bitter melon, fact or fiction? What do you guys think?
All right, so this is one of those that I grew up again with in India, and I remember a lot of my family members eating bitter melon, and it's a very interesting fruit if you can or veggie. It is definitely looks different, a little bit hard to cook, and the seeds are very bitter. What I learned was growing up that it has biguanides, which is like metformin. During this research, we learned that this may have something different called insulin-like polypeptide. So I stand corrected. How does it work? It may improve how the liver handles your sugar, and also may increase the insulin secretion. So those are some good things. They have done some studies. The evidence overall is conflicting. There may be some small improvement, but in general, what I would say is that this is something that is a fiction, insufficient evidence.
Yep. And I liked Tyler's comment. Fiction, never heard of it.
Sure.
The next one for you, and probably our last one for you, is going to be on probiotics. And this one I think is really interesting. So probiotics, fact or fiction, do probiotics decrease your sugars? Chime in, let us know what you think. And I think this one, there's a lot of growing evidence surrounding probiotics. And so this one I think is kind of controversial. And as more evidence comes in, our answer may change. But what they're showing is it changes the absorption of sugar in our GI system. By having the healthy bacteria now in our lower GI system, our bodies can process the sugar a little bit better because you're changing the structure and the bacteria in our system, and we're changing it to healthy types of bacteria. It's actually an area of diabetes that I think they're researching a lot about right
Yep.
now. Currently, the current evidence in the studies is showing that it's not reliable enough, probably because if you look on the market, there's so many different preparations of probiotics, so many doses, so many different types, that they're not all built the same and they're not all doing it. In the future, though, I think that we might be getting more evidence that something like that may actually be beneficial. So a little bit of a conflicting answer for you, but it's kind of an interesting one. So Dr. Bhargava, what is your thoughts now? I mean, how do you find the right supplements for your patients?
So I'll tell you, in general, we, as a doctor of allopathic medicine, focus on the drugs because we believe in the science of those. We say these are the proven benefits of a medication. These are these known side effects. So I'm used to seeing medication that have been studied in 10,000 people, and then we come up with data. And that's the mindset we have grown up with. And so it's hard to give that one up. These supplements, first of all, as you look at even the best evidence, is still very small number of patients. The side effects are not well documented. And if they happen, most people don't even, there's no mechanism to document side effects. People who get benefit talk about it a lot. People who get a side effects probably move on. So it's a very hard area. I will tell you, 20 years ago when I started practice, I was more opposed to the whole concept of supplements. Over time, I realized that, patients are going to do this. The more important thing to know about it, have that interaction. So I'm very open to people telling me what supplements they take and so forth. And then I can only render my opinion. So for example, my patient's taking cinnamon, I'll say, fine, go ahead, keep taking. Chromium, I've said to them in past, all right, keep taking. So there are some supplements that I've tended to believe in terms of the efficacy and saying, hey, if you're not having side effects. In general, what should you do as a patient? I would say in general, good diabetes control is the number one thing, right? That's the most important thing. You want to have good diabetes control. How you get there is the next thing. And then how it's really a partnership with your doctor. So the doctor may focus more on medication. If you want to do supplements, do talk to them. One very important word of caution, if you are taking medicines that cause hypoglycemia or low sugar reactions, so what are these? If you guys want to type in what kind of medications can bring your sugars down below normal, I'd like to hear what those are. If you're taking those and you add these supplements, then now you could have truly low sugar reactions, not because of the supplement, but because these other medicines are still at the same dose. So it's so important to talk to your doctor about it. Jimmy, what are your thoughts as people chime
Yeah,
in on those medications?
as people chime in, as the pharmacist, I want to make sure that you're buying a product that actually has what it's supposed to have in that bottle. And there's one way to make sure of that. You look for this USP verified label on all of your supplements. If it has this label, it's gone through testing. And in that bottle, if it says it has 1,000 milligrams of cinnamon, it will have 1,000 milligrams of cinnamon. If it doesn't have that on it, it can still be sold. It can still be on the shelf because it's treated like a food, but it does not have to have what it's advertised to have in it. So as a pharmacist, that's the number one thing that I want you to know. Make sure you're taking what you are. And the other emphasis that I think Dr. B said it as well, but I'll short and sweet. Natural does not always equal safer. Just because it's a natural product, it's still a chemical, just like some of these medicines are chemicals. At one point, the GLP-1s like Byetta it came from a natural product. We found it in lizard spit. And so they were able to find all these medicines in different ways. And so at one point, even the medicines that have been proven
Sure.
to decrease our sugars were natural. And so this comes up to the last audience question, which is, what is your opinion, I guess? Is a healthy diet with meats, fruits, and vegetables more important than taking vitamins? And my answer, short and sweet, would be yes. I want you to focus on a balanced diet. If you're eating a balanced diet with a plate method, with a quarter lean meat, half of it non-starchy vegetables that are colorful, not just the same color. So you're eating your rainbow of vegetables, and you're eating a quarter of that plate being a starch, you're going to get a balanced meal. And if you do that 3 times a day, you're likely getting the vitamins and nutrients that you need from your foods. And that's the way we want you to get these nutrients. If you're
All
not
right.
eating a healthy diet, then supplementing with vitamins is important.
Yeah, agree with that as well. Healthy diet much better, but circumstances don't allow a multivitamin a day. General is not going to hurt either, but definitely healthy diet is much better way. Question from Randy about how about Nerve Renew product. So Renew as in Renew. So Randy, some people might be deficient in vitamin B. B is again water soluble, has a number of them, 1 to 12. Can't ever remember the name. A B complex medication is pretty much not going to hurt people. Those who are deficient, it might benefit. So has a potential role in neuropathy. Laurie mentioned atorvastatin 40 milligram, and not sure why, but I'll just say this: a statin class of medicine which reduces your cholesterol, very good for reducing risk of heart attacks and strokes. Amazing. Of course, everything has side effects. One of the things, apart from muscle aches and pains for atorvastatin, it could also increase your sugar. So then there are other statin that may not have as much of an effect, like rosuvastatin. So I don't know if that's what you were asking, impact on sugar or not, but I thought I would mention that. That's cool. What else, Jamie, for today?
I get to announce the Community Builder Award. So
All right.
today, I get to announce the person who's done a lot. I think he posted something about or Sam's Club having $25 or $35 Libres. So we're giving the Community Builder Award to Curtis Carroll. He's got a $20 Amazon gift card. He just has to reach out and send us a message. So really excited about that. So good job. Keep talking with each other on Facebook. Keep utilizing each other. There's so many resources that we're developing and trying to put out there for you guys. Not only on Facebook, but on Instagram. And if you guys are on TikTok, it's on TikTok as well. I am not on TikTok, but we've got stuff there. Our next Facebook Live, we are bringing back Chef Robert Lewis, the Happy Diabetic, and we are going to be talking and cooking a main meal together. So very excited to bring him back and to cook with him again.
Excellent. Yeah, it'll be a great show, and he's so fun and so easy to listen to. So very exciting topic. Now let's summarize the topic from today. Again, few key things I want to emphasize. For me, some of the take homes. The USB sign was a good knowledge again for me. Supplements does not mean that they're safe. They may have benefits and may have side effects. Always, always, always talk to your doctor before starting or stopping any of these supplements. That would be my big message today. Jamie, you want to add anything? Any take home messages?
Those are the big ones that I have as well. To me, if you're wanting to take them, as long as they're not interfering with your medications and you're not having side effects from them, you can take them. I'm not going to go out and tell you that every patient has to be on cinnamon, every patient has to be on chromium. No, I'd rather you work on your diet, work on your activity, work on other things instead.
All right. And the form does matter, which form. So if any of these things you want to make sure, hey, it's a capsule for cinnamon or whatever it is, just make sure and look for that sign. Well, great. Well, thank you everyone for joining today and for your comments. If you have found this useful, share the video with other folks and invite them to this as well.
Thank you guys.
Have a good summer. Bye bye.